Okay, happy life. Hope we are. Good morning, all. Please write to me once you see something and hear something. You hear something, say something. Okay. I'm also going to check. Is the usual 2-3 minutes that we need to spend on stuff. Mr. AK, thank you. Beautiful. Okay. So then we can rock and roll. All right. So it's been about 2 or 3 weeks since I'm realizing how amazing Ghost is. How amazing pretty much any Web3 ecosystem is compared to the absolutely archaic, inefficient Web2 models where you just can't get anything done. It just no matter how much you try, there are no clear timelines. Even with the largest players in Web2, it's just bizarre. It's like really bizarre. The worst part about the bizarreness is the fact that they keep feeding us this AI bullshit, and AI definitely has certain applications. Don't get me wrong, but when they say, "Oh, all jobs will be gone, the robots will take over," maybe in about 100 years, maybe in 200 years, maybe in 1,000 years. But I mean, when you cannot open a bank account for 3 weeks, right? When your chats are being banned based on geo restrictions, when you cannot get the server payment stuff going through using traditional Web2 system, I mean, you realize that the system is completely broken, and AI, unfortunately, is not helping with any of this stuff, and it's not going to. Especially since the world is going to get more and more fragmented. I think we chose a very good space. So spoke to a very close friend of mine who actually brought me to the space to Web3. God knows when, almost 10 years ago. And I mean, yeah, we discussed how it's um it's a really really nice space we selected. Why? And the team shares the same exact insight that the world is getting more and more fragmented. It's getting more and more localized. It's no longer going to be a kind of a one hegemon world where US is kind of ruling everything. It's going to be, regional powers. It's going to be obviously the US, China, most likely Japan, most likely United Kingdom, most likely France. So certain geopoliticians mentioned that it could be Sweden out of nowhere, right? So Sweden could take over the Scandinavian region as far as power concerned. But then in the Middle East is going to be Turkey, Iran, and Saudi Arabia. In the African continent is going to be Egypt, who is significantly increasing its army and military, um, and some other nations. So, and every single nation would want to control their own thing. They would want to control communication. They would want to control the military. They would want to control their, citizens in any way. They would want to control the finances. And but the people already used to become like to live in the global world. And of course, one of the two things may happen. Maybe more than those two things. But the first thing is uh, most likely. And let's see if we're wrong, right? Because that's one of the best that we're making actually now. And of course, we did not have this situation even 5 years ago. I think COVID changed things dramatically. Post COVID, not the COVID itself, but just post COVID, things started unwrapping faster than before. I don't think COVID was a accelerator for that, right? Or like a reason or a cause. No, it was just a milestone. Um, So the first most likely thing to happen is we all want to drink Coca Cola. We all want to listen to all types of you know songs, right, from everywhere. We all want to watch all types of movies, whether it's Bollywood, Hollywood, or some Korean dramas, right? So people we all we need some type of language. It's probably going to be English, right? So it's a national, like the most usable language. So Most likely, people will still want to unite as usual, despite what politicians are trying to kind of to do. And politicians are just trying to split up the influence to obviously have more influence, control, power, money, etc. At the end of the day, scarce goods. And people will be saying, screw that. We want to live without that influence. And they'll still be trying to unite. And of course, the traditional internet is not going to let that happen because, then, local carriers can ban all the traffic. So will be same thing with finances. Like banks will not be operating with each other, or like it's happening right now. That interaction is going to be a lot more restricted. And Web3 industry will just start flourishing like crazy on multiple fronts. Yeah, it's going to be difficult to cash certain, cryptocurrencies potentially in certain nations. Well, but other nations will be opening up for that caching. So people will stop migrating to those kind of crypto friendly or restriction unfriendly jurisdictions. And the internet will start getting on some type of Web3 rails through some type of, in certain nations, prohibited networks such as Tor, for example, or IPFS hosted, whether it's media, right? The chats will also become more and more decentralized, truly decentralized. For example, with Telegram today, you need to authenticate yourself with a phone number. Phone number in most countries, you need to get KYC'd. So therefore, you actually have to get that phone number with your passport, like or your national ID. It's like that. So it's a really really severe level of KYC, even with Telegram. However, Telegram is, I think, switching back to verification via email addresses as of recent. So as of like last week, in certain jurisdictions, in certain geos. So I think either messengers like Telegram will have to adjust, or new chats will have to be appearing. And we discussed either last week or whatever, but many times the ghost chat, like the privacy oriented chat that is completely hosted by validators and full nodes of the ghost ecosystem, thus impossible to be banned. Of course, UX is not going to be as friendly as Telegram, right? Like, but it is what it is, right? Like, at least it's not, at least you'll be able to communicate without any bans, because they won't be able to figure out the traffic, because the traffic will be sent from multiple sources, from multiple nodes, and it's going to be very difficult heuristically to identify what that traffic is. So that's the first option. That's the first thing that could happen. First set of first potential path. Second potential path is okay, I'm part of the Turkish Empire, and then somebody else is part of the U.S. Empire, and then somebody else is part of the Chinese Empire, and then somebody else is part of the Japanese Empire. So we're all part of those empires, and yeah, we rarely travel outside of those empires. Yeah, we try to communicate and trade, but not really. But economically, I don't think that will happen. Why? Because uh, all the economic theories of the 19th and 20th century literally proved that the the level of the level of GDP increase and lifestyle and stuff like that is directly correlated to how much we trade with each other. Why? Because every single because it makes sense to kind of the continuation of Adam Smith's got extrapolated to the national level. I forgot what line of economics that is, but essentially, I keep forgetting. But essentially, every nation needs to specialize in certain aspects, and the better they specialize in something, kind of the better it is for the whole world, right? Because country A specializes in X, country B specializes in Y. They trade with each other. Country X is able to produce. Country A is able to produce X much cheaper. Country B is able to produce Y much cheaper, and that's how we kind of live in abundance as humanity. So that's most likely not going to happen. But if kind of the second path happens, where kind of people start just living in their empires, in their local surroundings without much interaction with the outside world, I think people just used to not do that already. However, who knows? But we do have nations like this that are more close than others. Say at this point in time, it's North Korea. It's called Turkmenistan, I think, country in the Central Asia. We also have Iran. We definitely have some African nations like this as well, like slightly more closed. And then the question is, I mean, they live in like much closed. They definitely want lots of people from there want to immigrate outside of it, but they can't. They still try to use all types of access to finances they could get, such as crypto. They're trying to use all types of internet access via VPNs as they possibly can. And we're not sure though if the fact that people from those closed countries want to get out is the proof that path number two will not work. Why? Well, because it's kind of like a game theoretical situation. If you are a closed country surrounded by open countries, of course you want to migrate to to also be like kind of part of the open country as a citizen of the closed country. But what if we switch the board a little bit here and say, hey, how about 90% of the countries are closed countries, only 10% are open countries? What will happen? So I don't think we have that experiment. Although we do, maybe that was the United States from 300 years ago, where it was considered to be the libertarian state, no taxes, no nothing, like free country, and people just migrated there from all over the world, and other parts of the world were much more closed under monarchy in most cases that Napoleon was trying to overtake. So it's going to be like a kind of like historically we need to observe for path number two, right, where people will just be okay to live in a closed surrounding. But if you're right, if you're going to go with option one, with path one, where people still want to be open and exchange with each other and speak different languages, but have one language, and drink Coca-Cola because that's the best drink ever, right? And listen to watch the movies and stuff like this, then we are definitely in the right space, because Web3 will enforce it. Well, Web3 is the space that will be a huge, huge weapon against localization. Because again, in Web3 we can do financing via crypto, we can do messengers via something like Ghost Chat in the future. We'll be able to create contracts such via smart contracts and stuff like this. So this is very, very interesting. Okay, let's go through some updates really quickly. 1 second. Okay, so the first update. So we got some updates here and there, thanks to the team. The team was very busy with the bridge out. That's why some of these updates have been delayed. But so check this out. First thing is the telemetry. So telemetry, we finally have the rank. So, well, the tooltip, validated node versus full node, for example, here. So the robot is a full node, Ghost is a validated node. Boom, that's done. So everything else looks the same. Okay, so at this point, we have 68 nodes. Okay, that's that. Now, that's the first change. Now, as far as the second change, the bridge. So let me try to bridge something. I actually did not test it. I'm going to be testing right now with you guys for the first time since like about 3 weeks. Let me try to send the balance. So the team said that the animation has been changed. So let's see. So let me just bridge 0.01. I'm not even sure if this bridge is going to go through. So 1, 2, 3, bridge. And okay, so let me go and let me try to, yeah, they updated the MetaMask even further. Oh my goodness, it's the most unuseful piece of shit now as far as wallet. It used to be so great. That's what happens when you invite a bunch of managers to screw up everything with their KPIs and OKRs. I hope they measure the fact that their new design is total shit, but probably they won't be able to do it. The goal is not to follow the KPIs. The goal is to set the KPIs and never do anything based on those KPIs. All right, so let's see. So the time lock still, I'm not sure if this works though. Okay, in any case, let's just observe. You guys see it, right? So let's observe. So the clock was supposed to go clockwise. It probably does go it. Maybe it's just a visual effect. So I'll confirm with that. I also want to see the animation of slow claps, how fast that goes. Maybe I had to update with my F5. Maybe I didn't, as far as removing cookies and stuff. In any case, I recorded how much balance I had before on the Ghost Eye. We'll be curious to see if we could be able to bridge. Now, what happened while we waiting for those blocks to go through? What happened? So we covered about 2-3 weeks ago, lots of stuff in the chat as well. We covered where, like, how come the bridge in does not work and what are the issues. So 3 things happened at the same time. First thing was couple of whales uncovered the bugs, right? So it was Scorpion in particular. So when he bridged on the edge, when we say on the edge, it means that the bridge was happening between era T and era T plus 1 in those, like, whatever, 10 minutes. He luckily got there, which is great, right? Like, this is amazing that we got there. That we knew that this stuff may happen, and the idea is to, like, we thought maybe to put some type of user interface type of limitation, like, to prevent you from doing this. However, you'll still be able to bridge via the smart contracts, right? So, like, going directly through the Explorer, or if you have your own node, you'll be able to bridge as well. You'll be able to push these transactions no matter. So the user interface kind of limitation will not necessarily limit anything, right? Just will limit it for us, but not for, for people who know how to kind of trigger transactions bypassing the user interface. So so Scorpion uncovered that bug where and so when you transfer when you send a transaction right out between era T and era T plus 1, what happens is some validators not able to clap in era T. Some validators not able from era T don't have enough time to clap for that specific block yet. So therefore they migrate to era T plus 1. So that was the first bug, right? Now the second bug was in a case where that was like an actual bug, where if you are a validator, you're going to keep getting slashed, even if you have below 6.9 gas per balance. So that bug is fixed from yesterday's patch that the team deployed. And then the third, not a bug, more like an attack vector. So if you have a lot of validators and all validators are, at this moment, we're kind of all hitting the same RPC, they got to the rate limit, and therefore all 20 validators were just completely silent. Now, out of the 60 validators, right, those 20 validators represented 1/3. So what would happen is, since the bridging, we didn't have that many bridging transactions, right? Without that many bridging transactions, since the clap is identified as a median, when we don't have that many bridging transactions, the median is going to get screwed. And so what's going to happen is 40 validators are saying, yes, there's one transaction. They see that. But the 20 validators who got silent because of RPC rate limit, they see 0 transactions. So they say, oh, we have 0 transactions. So then everybody's slashed. The 20 guys who don't see any transactions because they are just blind, right? And then the other 40 who actually see stuff, they also get slashed because everybody's wrong. Why? Well, the median is 0.5, right? Right, because it's only like one transaction that went through or whatever. And essentially everybody's getting slashed because everybody's wrong. So that was also fixed in this yesterday's patch that the team deployed. So essentially what we check in right now is this. We check in for, well, first of all, will my transaction go through or not? It's supposed to. The only thing that is not fixed right now is what to do with Scorpion's edge case. Like how to treat that. We call that self-applause. So should we fix this? Should we not fix it? How to fix it? There are some things already prepared as far as code base, but it's not deployed yet. So from everything that I said just now, the only thing that is really not working is the edge case identified by, well, and we knew about this as well, but kind of from the user perspective, found by Scorpion. So what to do with this? Give us like some time to figure this out, whether we should proceed with the self-applause, which is already finished, or we shouldn't. So that's this. Because self-applause may also lead to some other bugs as well. So we need to make sure it's pretty stellar. Okay, so if everything is fixed, then how come the bridge did not go through yesterday? Because yesterday, a couple whales tried to bridge and nothing worked. Well, because it's the same RPC limit. So the rate limit that those 20 nodes in a cluster, they were still blind yesterday. So what happened was since they represented so many nodes out of the 60, they represented 1/3 of all the nodes minus 1. Then the transaction did not go through. However, since the patch is deployed, now only those who don't see the transaction, those are the ones who are getting slashed. So those 20 nodes were getting slashed while the other 40 nodes were not getting slashed. So from validator perspective, this is a good fix. Now, what's going to happen then is those validators who are blind and who are clearly malicious because they are just blind, and that's why they're malicious here, although they're not intentionally malicious. So they will get slashed, and whenever they have less than 6.9 Casper bonded, they will no longer be part of the validator set in the next era. And that way, instead of 60 validators, now we have 59. Yesterday we had 61 validators, today we have 59 validators, and the transaction may actually go through because instead of 21 validators from yesterday from that group, we now only have 19. And 19 will represent less than 1/3, hopefully, and hopefully the transaction will go through. Right? So that's the logic. So let's see, fingers crossed. Now, from validator perspective, it's all great. The only thing, what to do with the user perspective, right? Like if the user's transaction got breached and, it didn't get processed, what to do? And that's the self-applause, and that's what we need to figure out, right? So that's like the last thing from the user perspective to figure out. From the validator perspective, at least now, I think we treated you guys nice. You should not get overly slashed for no freaking reason and stuff like that. So I hope I made that clear. Please ask your questions about the process. It took some time for us to do the bridge and patch. Now, the reason why is because we got too busy with the bridge out, and it was lots of improvisation, excitement, and being in the zone. And we essentially didn't focus on anything else except for that bridge out. But this week we got our shit together, went back to bridge in, went back to fix the small issues that I've shown you on telemetry, for example, and stuff like that. And here we go. So that's the situation. That's the status. We got 30 more blocks. That's going to be another 4 minutes. So I suggest we switch to another thing right now. So some users, some whales started minting Mordor, etc, METC, and submitted that to the faucet. So we had, I think, 23 to 24,000. Now we have 30,000. Thank you so much. I think it was Start Protocol. Thank you so much for doing that. So we planning to maybe launch our own ETC node as well. Just need to see what's the electricity consumption on this to make sure it's all kind of not going crazy. And then if you're going to be able to renew this balance, update this balance with more METC. Based on our estimates, we can mint about 43,000 METC per day. If we kind of have this, have this machine that can do that. So in any case, if we are able to replenish the balance, then we will probably increase the supply of minimum drip that we can issue on per request on the faucet. Now, the reason why that's important is because, well, let me just click out. So like here, oh, that's Sepolia. Okay, let me actually go back then. Sorry. Let me go back and just like make sure it's all good. By the way, here you see how this is still in process. That's pretty cool here. So that's how you see it. So I'll show you the Mordor ghostDAO later. But it's very difficult for some of you guys to get that Mordor METC because this proof of work faucet, it works one day, the other day it doesn't work. And so far, yeah, like we are literally the top one. So HC Classic Mordor faucet, we're number one here. Maybe that's just on my search, so please check on yours. But in any case, we're definitely on the first page, and that's pretty exciting to be, thanks to the community. Like this is literally a community effort here, because the community helped us kind of get the balances necessary of METC to distribute to everybody. Now I know it's true that not that many developers develop on Ethereum Classic, but it doesn't matter. How about we become the big fish in a small pond? How about we become very known amongst Ethereum Classic community? Maybe that's a recipe for some success here. So okay. So how much time we have here? 19, 20, 18 blocks. That's like maybe about 2 minutes. I wanted to also cover something else, but let me switch. Yeah. Okay. Let me actually go back in my. Okay. So we have our traditional disclaimer. So a couple of ideas that came out as well to make it all dynamic. So the first idea we've been discussing is the whales after Whales Wednesdays started developing a pretty interesting list of topics. And I cannot thank you guys enough. Like this is very, very cool. Like really, really cool. So what we need to do is to maybe, and that's kind of an open question here. Maybe we should even vote for this. I don't think it's like if a proposal, although maybe it is. Every 2 or 3 weeks on Wales Wednesdays, the suggestion is to maybe turn this into a product call where we present kind of the updates that took place last 2 or 3 weeks, and you guys ask questions specifically for those updates that we have. That way, we all move forward together. The only thing I don't like about kind of the Wales Wednesdays and the questions that sometimes are kind of being asked there is they're kind of all over the place. That's good, right? But we need to keep the discussion going so everybody follows. Because what's happening is there are some new users who like level 0, right? They don't know anything about Ghost. Then there are some questions level 8 who know a lot about Ghost. So they, like person level 0 asks a question, and then we respond, which is kind of very pretty useless, right, to people level 8, and then vice versa. When person level 8 asks the question, person level 0 has no idea what's happening, like absolutely zero clue. And it's also kind of useless. And therefore, like, while we think that, oh yes, it's really good, but notice how Wales Wednesdays oftentimes turns into a discussion between 2 or 3 people at the same time. That's it. Everybody else just really doesn't follow. And maybe that's not kind of the best format, right? So again, that's just for consideration. So maybe what we should do is create, like, keep it as is, like 1 or 2 times, like one or twice. Like, say the first call is just like the general call, just like it is today. Then the second thing is the second call is maybe the same, right? And then the third call is product call, where we go over the questions that you guys presented previously, right? Now, how do I see this happening is this. So we create a backlog on the thread on the general group, which we already did. So far, it's called, how is it called? Let me see. It's called issue backlog. Maybe you should create a better name for it. Whatever. Issue backlog. So just created just like half an hour ago. So what you do is, what everybody does is they first of all put the questions in Wales. Okay. If the question in Wales is any question, any technical question about tokenomics, like literally any question, you put in there. What you notice is oftentimes the question is directed to the team, and the group is not really helping, and that's also not a very, very good thing, because it's not a Q&A type of, like, Wales is not a Q&A type of group where it's like, oh, ask me anything every single day. You should be asking your questions unlimited. So my issue is not with those who ask questions. My issue with those who do not help answer. So do not rely on the team just to answer, because the team has been like super fucking busy the last 3 weeks, last 4 weeks with the bridge out, etc. And me personally, I do not want to dilute focus of the team on the thing, because you think, oh, it's just like, just answer this question, oh, just answer that question. No, that's not how it works. You lose focus for the next 3 hours, and then it takes you forever to get back into the zone. And then somebody else is getting busy, somebody else gets sick, somebody else has a break, somebody else needs to get a coffee, and that's it. Like, the inspiration is gone. Doesn't work. Okay. Paul Graham wrote one of the famous essays. He's the ex-CEO, I think, founder of Y Combinator, where he said, like, yeah, if you want the dev team to be very productive, cancel all the fucking calls for that day. If you have at least one call on that day, the dev is not going to code. And that's exactly how it is, right? So if you have one question on the day, the dev is not going to code. Okay. So kind of ask your questions away as much as possible. Again, that's not the issue. The issue is the rest of you guys who know the answer, you need to start chiming in. That's how the community is going to grow. If you don't chime in and the team is going to be kind of the only source of responding, I mean, it's not going to work. I'm sorry, it's just not going to work. It's not a group. It's a Q&A. It's like there's somebody who knows all the answers, like a fucking oracle, and everybody else. And that's not very true. Why it's not very true? Because there's this really incorrect assumption. The team knows everything. But that's false. All the code, first of all, the team doesn't know everything. Secondly, but the team knows everything because they build the code. Okay, they build the code, but the code is available on GitHub. So it's open source GitHub code. And oftentimes, there's this function, that function that we're not sure about, and we put the issues, and we don't get that many comments back, right? And you'll say, well, because we're not the level of the team. Okay, Congratulations, guys. Maybe you shall be, right? It's a how to say, we're building, a country. If you want to be a minister in that country, you need to know your shit. So start educating, right? And we've been saying this forever, right? And some of you guys really took it seriously. I'm not going to name names, but some of you guys really, really took it seriously, significantly upgraded, etc. It's a very unhealthy thing to kind of, the reason why the team knows more so far. And I spoke to like a whale maybe like 2 months ago about it. The reason why the team knows more is because we spent, I don't know, 15 hours a day. So if you're going to be spending 15 hours a day as well, you also know more, right? Like that's how this is, right? Like we don't know more because we were born to know more. We know more because we spend a lot more hours than most of whales, and that's not how it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be equal, right? So it's not that the team needs to spend only 3 hours just like you guys a day, or like half an hour a day, or 1 hour a week, just like most users, right? But we need to make sure that we start developing this core who knows their shit, really, really knows their shit. Again, it's a country, guys. It's a country. And you guys are ministers. I have more thoughts about this country thing that I probably could share next week, because I'm so fucking tired of the current banking system and all this Web 2 stuff, because it just doesn't work. It just doesn't work for me at all. Like it really didn't. Like last 3 weeks showed that it doesn't. Everything fucking breaks. And I'm trying to I'm doing everything right and nothing works. So and I'm talking about the multi-billion-dollar companies. I'm not talking about startups. I'm talking about multi-billion-dollar companies with millions of clients, and they don't fucking work. Okay, so if you want to create a better alternative, just for us, right? I mean, we need to know our shit. So therefore, chime in. Start asking. Start answering questions. You don't know the answer. Answer it anyways. Be wrong. That's how you learn. Like the best people to learn, there are 3 ways to learn. First, you see how somebody does it. Then you try to do it. And then you teach another person how to do it. That's what Greeks said about learning. I want to write an article about this actually for Forever Now, like about how to teach yourself. So same thing here. Like if you do not teach anybody, you do not learn. You really did not learn. You can only learn once you teach, once you explain it to somebody many, many times. Because then you actually understand yourself. So when you explain, you actually do a huge favor to yourself. And if you don't, you're not learning. Now, the reason why that's important is because there's lots of questions that are pretty repetitive. And we don't answer them anymore. And I tell the team, guys, don't answer. Because we don't have time. So the community needs to answer. Community needs to step in. But what happens is, most of these questions, the community will be able to respond. You guys know the answers. You're just either afraid to chime in, or you're not sure about it, or maybe you think you know it wrong, but you actually did it before, so you probably know it right, But there are definitely some questions that have not been answered or asked prior ever. And those questions need to go to that backlog. And then every 2 or 3 weeks, on the Whales Wednesdays, we need to go over that backlog list. Not all of it necessarily, but some of the questions, maybe one question, maybe half a question from the backlog we respond to. Then we cross it out. Once we cross it out, though, if that same question is going to be asked again in the Whales group, those who know the answer need to chime the fuck in. Because otherwise it's not going to work. Otherwise the system is not going to work. Now, we can say, screw this. Let's not just even try with this whole backlog situation. Okay, that way, nobody will know everything. That way it's it turns into a rumor type of situation, where it's if you press on Whales Wednesdays and listen to those specific 5 minutes and actually paid attention instead of making coffee, you'll be able to know the answer. And other people won't know the answer. And then it's all the information is secret. Super secretive, and it's a rumor-based type of information, and it's literally not what it is. It's absolutely not what it is. Now the question is, why are we not structuring this information? We're not structuring the information because lots of things are not finalized yet. So, for example, for the DEX, we structure information because Uniswap is pretty stable now. So obviously, it's easy to stay to go over it. Now, Vita money, I don't have the time, but it's clear what needs to be written. So lots of stuff have been written. It's very clear what the direction is. It's very clear what Ghost does as far as money. And I know exactly what to do there. I just need time, okay? But for example, for Ghost-specific articles, those articles are not ready yet. Why? Because we don't know everything yet. We don't know the governance yet specifically. Yeah, it's going to be inherited from Polka. We don't know it exactly because we didn't test it with you guys yet. Because you guys, right? So it's not that, oh, the team is behind. No. The community is behind, significantly behind. And we had this conversation with the team like this week about this. Like the community is very much behind. And we cannot just be pushing through without community being uneducated. Why? Because, okay, fine. We'll fucking launch everything and there's going to be one person who knows from the community who knows everything. Everybody else will be catching up. Okay, so we have one user day one. There's no traction. I'm sorry, guys. It doesn't work like this. If you want traction for the project, you need to know what's happening, right? In order for you to know what's happening, you need to ask questions, see the questions being responded, and then also try to teach, try to answer those questions whenever somebody else asks this. So what I suggest is this new way of just moving forward, because that way what I'm trying to minimize, what I'm trying to optimize for, because I understood the reason why the we are moving slower than I would like to on some occasions is because the community is completely lagging fucking behind. And there's nothing I can do. As far as like the community needs to really kind of like get their shit together. So again, some members really get up to speed, but most members don't. Like you guys know what I'm like. You guys see that for yourselves, right? Like absolutely see it. And you can keep saying this. Oh, I'm not technical. I'm not this. Like it's all fucking excuse. Like enough. Like drop the fucking excuses. You're not technical. Then you're not gonna be a minister. No problem. You're gonna be a citizen. Like it's fine. It's okay to be a citizen. But if you want to make decisions and they have to be educated and it's not guesses, but actually educated decisions, drop the fucking excuses. We're all learning here. It's not that the team is God as far as technical information. They created Rust and C++ from scratch. And one of our team members is Satoshi Nakamoto himself. It's not true. We're all learning from the same sources. Forums, Stack Exchange, ChatGPT, sometimes asking those questions. ChatGPT could be pretty useful, although it's pretty outdated as far as, so oftentimes you need to dive deeper and go to those forums yourself. Okay, so therefore, what I could do here to accelerate the community education is to create a dynamic sprints, right? And that's exactly what this process is. So those 2-3 weeks, the community needs to focus on those backlog questions. And you guys have started doing this. Thanks to you, Sparta, thanks to Mr. IDK, Scorpion, Gem of Freedom was there. So whoever was participating on these calls, right? Start Protocol, who have been participating on these calls and like being active, that's exactly what you guys doing, right? So what you're doing is you are creating the list of questions. Here's what I don't know. Trying to systematize the knowledge. Problem is, you'll be able to respond to your questions, and 10 of you guys who go to Wales Wednesdays will know the answers. What about the other 100 people? What about the other 200 people? Right? What about the other 1,000 people? So it's okay to start with 10 people. It's better to start with 100 people who are educated, or 1,000 people. So how to optimize it? Backlog Wednesdays. Product call Wednesdays, whatever. We'll product update calls, or whatever we're going to call it, right? So that way, again, kind of what we need to rely on here is the questions that are being answered will be asked again in Wales for sure. So you guys who know the answers need to chime in, right? So it depends on us on the team level to introduce those 2-3 kind of 2-3 week, calls every single 2 or 3 weeks, like going over the product updates in more detail, going over the product updates from perspective of the issues that we faced this last week, some technical issues, and focus on the discussion super narrow on that specific call, not fucking going this left to right. Like if you're talking about this, let's just like topic 1, let's just focus on topic 1, because Wales Wednesday is oftentimes like, oh, what about topic 10? Topic 10 is so far in advance. Like, let's add this to the product, to the backlog in the main group, one of the threads. Then we're going to get to it at some point in time. And once we cross that question out, right, it's going to be like a list of like 20, 30 prompts, 20, 30 questions. We cover the question, we cross it out. You guys as a community, as the whales who know the answer, you need to chime in whenever the next whale asks this question. Because you guys like who know, again, level 8, there will be level 0 users, level 0 whales who need those answers. And then we probably need to start systematizing some of the knowledge, maybe some type of like super long FAQ. Maybe that's like another tool that we need to introduce. But again, some of these questions are not fully kind of in line with the final destination because we don't know all the answers yet ourselves. Okay. So that's kind of why it has to be like this. So therefore, the reliance is on the team to offer updates, but also the reliance on the community to chime in and help us respond to these questions. Okay. One other thing that I wanted to cover is, one second. So one thing that I wanted to cover is the balancer hack. But let me switch back. Okay, do you guys see it? Yeah, you should see it. Okay, good. So I think we went through all the blocks here. The collapse went through. I cannot check, unfortunately, if my transaction went through. I'll be able to maybe write back in Wales after the call. If everything went through, I just sent 0.01. Seems like the collapse went through. So again, the 19 validators who are not responding, those are the RPC rate limit. Hello, Start Protocol. That's you. So you're getting slashed. I'm sorry, but I think you're getting slashed. So chill the notes not to get slashed. Because I want to slash you. Because you're blind. Why do I want to slash you, by the way, is I want you to keep pumping that e-ghost on Mordor. But actually on Cipolias. Because it's good for the project, right? So let us keep slashing you. In any case, keep doing what you're doing. This is great stuff. In any case, I think it went through, so that's good. I would like to go over the balancer hack. Okay, so maybe I wanted to do Vita. We need to do Vita at some point in time, but get too many updates. So a pretty important hack happened. And balanced $120 million. So it's one of the dexes. But so nobody knows exactly what happened. The team kind of responded as far as like they came with something like this, like it's a rounding issue, but still nobody knows exactly what happened. That's pathetic. So the problem with the patheticism, or whatever the word for that is, it's not that Bouncer was hacked. Bouncer was hacked. We believe that the user just did everything right. It was just the normal behavior, and the DEX all of a sudden thought, oh, it's not normal behavior because we fucking lost money. Okay, good, but it's the normal behavior of the user. So the user was supposed to behave like that, and the user was supposed to make money if they behave like this. So we don't think that Balancer, we don't think it was even a hack. Like, what was the hack? Did anybody's keys got compromised? No, doesn't seem like this. But by the way, maybe that's exactly what happened. The team is not just honest about this. I think it's an inside job, to be honest. But let's assume that the keys were not compromised. Then what's the hack? Right? Is that even a hack? The user just behave how they're behaving. 120 mil, right? So significant TVL hit. But that's not what's important. So unfortunately, I cannot show you exactly kind of this post that I wanted to make. To turn this into a PowerPoint. I just didn't have time, forgot about it. So let me just read to you what happened in association with this hack. By the way, they probably used Amazon Web Services, so okay, whatever. So you can see the decentralization. So this one post on LinkedIn titled "Decentralization in Crypto is a Myth." So after this hack is hack. Okay, fine. Let's assume it was actually a hack. Chain validators halted the network entirely. Why? Because their leading DEX, they called BEX, Chain, whatever exchange. It was a fork of a balancer. So validators decided to hold the network altogether. Okay, how many validators they have? Not that many validators on Chain because the minimum stake is extremely fucking high. Polygon validators censored attacker transactions to stop further swaps. So essentially, they did the same thing that could have happened on our XRP. We covered this with Vita money like about a month ago. That the reason why XRP is seeming to be decentralized but really not is because every single validator can just blacklist your address. And since there are not that many validators and all the validators are enterprises, there's nothing you can fucking do. So let's assume you have lots of XRP. They can just blacklist you and you have that XRP. It's not frozen, right? But you cannot transact with that. You cannot send XRP to another address. So it's effectively frozen. So XRP does not have a freezing functionality on chain, but it's effectively frozen because validators decide to freeze your shit. So Polygon did that. Okay, Sonic is ex-Phantom. Sonic deployed an emergency patch that froze and zeroed out the attacker's account balances. So I'm suspected on Phantom to be a hacker. Okay, so they just said, okay, fine, we'll just zero your balances. So okay, I had $20 million. Oh, I'm a hacker. Okay, fuck you. Now your balance is $0. That's what they did. So it is those three chains, and that's what the community is asking. Like, what the hell's happening? So like, do they even know if this guy was a hacker? Balancer said the balances were hacked. Can you prove that he was a hacker, Balancer? But Balancer took the sweet time, like 3 or 4 days, to get back to the community with anything. They took their sweet time. They didn't say so. The reason why that's a problem in our mind is if you say this is a hack, if you claim that something is a hack, you know it's a hack. Can you prove that it's a hack? Otherwise, why the fuck are you saying it's a hack? Right? It's like, because we all know it's a hack because Gizmodo.com wrote that it's a hack because they use the word hack. That's why it's a hack. No, not necessarily. It was maybe an expected user behavior. Like, what the hell? Okay? So, this is quite interesting. And I don't think it, and kind of this article on, this post on LinkedIn keeps saying that, Bitcoin, we don't expect this to happen on Bitcoin. We don't expect this to happen on Ethereum. But more of these more centralized chains, booyakasha, fucking happened. Now, for us to deploy ghostDAO on those chains, quite a pickle, guys. The regulators can say, "Oh, Ghost is doing some whatever, some malicious behavior," and then Berachain validators will just hack the shit out of ghostDAO on Berachain, all the transactions for whatever reason, because the regulators said that. Even worse, the balancer V2 is so decentralized. The shit happened. They went directly running to the police and FBI, whatever enforcers, to start complaining to them. So you claim to be Web3, but whenever the shit happens, you go back to your regulators. That's very much resembling of, first of all, of the banks during 2008 era. And not only that, because they said we are too big to fail. We employ so many people. We create so many jobs. Don't fail us. Please, please, please don't fail us. Yet, whenever the bonus time is up, it's the bankers who make the money. So, how somebody said it, the governments, those enterprises are personalizing the gains, but I forgot, it was like really well said, but essentially kind of governizing or whatever they said, the losses, right? Because the losses all go back to the government, which is essentially going back to the people. So I'm getting the bonus as a CEO, but whenever shit happens, I'm not taking the blame. And Nassim Taleb wrote about this. This is bad. This is like why we hate the fucking banks. We don't hate the banks because they're evil. We hate the banks because they are unfair. Right? If banks failed in 2008, I don't think we'd hate the banks. Yeah, banks make their money. It's a nice business model. Just don't get into the taxpayers' pockets. Just fucking fail. If you had a shitty model, fail. But SVB, Silicon Valley Bank, same thing happened. The government went to the rescue. Your bank failed, the government went to the rescue. That's why we hate banks. Because banks have nothing to lose and only to gain. But to gain at the expense of the taxpayer. Not because of the business model, because the taxpayer decided. Now, of course, we can say, well, they create that many jobs. The government is incentivized to create these jobs. I understand. But bankers in particular make above average salary. And if above average salary individuals didn't understand the risk properly, I mean, they should be fucking, choosing another job. They should be moving to retool to another career, right? Choices, since they couldn't really do anything about it. So same thing is happening right now with ChatGPT. ChatGPT is saying the same thing. I think ChatGPT is it's a much more convoluted play. They say, hey, listen, you government, we want you to subsidize the infrastructure. Please do that. But of course, the upside will go to Sam Altman and the VCs. And I think the position here from ChatGPT is this: listen, AI is the only force that prevented the recession that is long overdue in the U.S. stock market. And the reason why it's long overdue in the U.S. stock market is because A, it happened everywhere in the world except for the U.S. That's why all the funds went to the U.S. stock market. B, the P ratios are so over fucking priced, they're double the norm. So the stock market should drop 50% just on that alone, just to get back to norm. the recession should be below the norm, which is therefore we should expect a 66, 75% decline. Of course, it's not going to happen because they'll just print more money because they'll just keep saving the market. So ChatGPT is saying, listen, AI is the only wave that really prevented the recession. So keep finding that wave if you want to avoid the recession. That's the name of the game. And of course, the government will say, "Oh, absolutely, that's in our interest not to lose our political positions, affiliations, etc. Because we're politicians, we have to save our faces." Crazy shit. So the balancer in the same situation, right? So we as Web3 keep all the gains, all the upside, but for the downside, we're gonna go to the FBI. It's not very Web3, is it? So keep on the watch out. Like, let's see exactly what's happening with Balancer. Like, I'll be curious. But the fact that all these other chains behaved without any evidence of any hacks, behaved like total fucking pussies by freezing the funds, this and that. Like, I just lost all the respect for those three chains in particular. Okay. Hopefully you did too. Now, hopefully you understand what's happening. On this semi-positive note, see you guys next week. Have a good one. Bye-bye.